Hello and welcome to Jesus for Asia Now. I'm Natalie Wood, and I have a special guest with me here today to talk about the work that she and her family are doing in Thailand. And I know you are going to really enjoy these stories. And before I welcome my guest and introduce her to you, I want to share with you one of her favorite texts. And that is in Romans chapter 8, verses 38 and 39. For I am persuaded that neither death, nor life, nor angels, nor principalities, nor powers, nor things present, nor things to come, nor height, nor depth, nor any other creature shall be able to separate us from the love of God, which is in Christ Jesus our Lord. So I want to introduce you to our special guest today, Lisa Sharon. Welcome to the show, Lisa.
Thank you.
So glad you could be here. It's been a long time coming.
Mm-hmm.
We've been wanting to have a show like this for a long time. We did one about your family's work, but you weren't here.
No.
And neither was anyone else of your family. So all we had was video. And now we will get the stories in person.
Mm-hmm.
So we first met when you still lived in Idaho.
Yeah.
And we lived in California at the time. And we were in Idaho visiting family. And then you moved with your family to Montana.
Right.
Can you share a little of the story at the beginning there of your family in Montana?
Well, when we moved from Idaho, I had asked my boys what they wanted in a home. They were upper teenagers by then, and so I wanted to let them decide. It had to be a place with a lot of snow, and they wanted it to be way out where it wasn't like right in the middle of a lot of people. It had to have no electricity, no water, and no phone. I put my foot down when it came to the phone part. So we found this place that was way out, and it had, 6 to 12 feet of snow every year, and we had to use snowmobiles to go in and out. And, at the time it was a really crazy idea, but that's what prepared us for mission service. And so it turned out to be a really big blessing.
It was a long ways out there. I remember coming to visit you in winter, and it had snowed a little bit before we got there, but then it snowed a foot overnight.
Yeah.
And so we were able to drive out, but after that it was snowmobiles.
Yeah.
For you all the rest of the winter.
Yeah.
So you were homeschooling your boys, though, right?
Yeah.
So it wasn't like you lived way out and you were trying to take them into school every day.
And especially that first year, we didn't have any work up there, and so we didn't have to go anywhere. So it was probably the best year of our lives as far as getting to spend time as family and really be drawn closer together and stuff. And it was right after that when Ben left on a vision trip for Asia. And basically that was his last year at home. So it was a really, really special time.
So he went over with us on the vision trip,
Yeah.
and he was there for just maybe a few days, it seems like, maybe a week, but it wasn't very long. And he said, I think I need to call my mom.
Yeah, he called me and he told me, Mom, I just can't come home. So there's such a need over here. I didn't realize that there was such a need in Asia, and so I can't go home. Mm-hmm. So I didn't see him again for 2 years. Mm-hmm. But, if you're going to lose your kids, that's a great way to lose them.
To God's work.
To God's work.
To caring about other people and serving
That's right.
them. So he came home 2 years later.
2 years later, he came for a 1-month visit. And one morning we were all sitting we had just had worship, and we were sitting around in the living room just talking. And he turns to his brother. I think he turned to Jason first. I'm not sure. But he said, Hey, Jason, why don't you come over to Asia with me? I need some help. And Jason said, Yeah, sure, I'll do that. And then he was like, wow, and then he turned to Andrew and he said, Andrew, how about you? And Andrew said, yeah, I think I might like to do that. I'm like, oh no, 3 of my boys are going to be gone. So they left, the 3 of them left on my birthday of all days. And that was in March of 2009, I believe. And so it was just the 3 of us left at home. We didn't know what to do with ourselves.
You had Travis, the youngest,
I still had Travis at home. So we decided to become more involved with Jesus for Asia at that point because I was already talking to them. And so we decided to help out a little bit more with the ministry. And John decided that it was a good idea for me to just go over there and kind of check it out for myself so I'd know what I was talking about, and then I could write about the projects while I was over there. So we went for a 3-month mission trip too. But same thing that happened to Ben. You know, when you see the need, you meet the people and you get to know they're not just statistics, they're not just people that live on the other side of the world, Ben. They're real people, and you just can't go off and leave them once you see the need. And whether you can stand on a mountaintop and see 50 villages that have never heard of Jesus, I don't know how a person could leave after that. So we decided to stay. And my husband had to go back to America, and he had to just, wrap things up. We hadn't planned on moving over there. And so he left Travis and I to move to our new location. We had found a training school that had been built by donors from America, but it was empty. Nothing was being done there. And so actually Jason joined us, and the 3 of us moved down near Sonclabury. And we were only there a couple of months. My husband was still in America when I was handed my first baby. Hannah was 14 months old, and she'd been abandoned by her mother, and her father was a soldier and couldn't take care of her. And so it was like I had to email my husband, "Surprise, you're a dad again."
We now have 4 boys and a girl.
Yeah.
It's a girl.
Yeah, it was a girl. We were really excited to get a girl. But it wasn't like something that I had planned on. When you're handed a child, you look at the child and you say, 20 years? Wow, that's commitment. But, if that's what it takes, that's what we're going to do. So that's what we are doing, is our 20 years of commitment, at least. And it wasn't very long before more children came, and to where I ended up with 6 girls, because God has a sense of humor. 4 boys and then 6 girls. But we'd always wanted girls, so it worked out really good. So a couple months later, I was given another little girl. She was 8 years old. We named her Mary Beth. She likes to have an American name. And a couple months after that, Jason, my son, had saved the life of another little girl. She was 7 at the time, and she needed special care for a while. And so we took her in. That's Esther. She's 14 now. And then like a year later, we got Destiny Grace. And I always forget my older ones. My older ones were Sunda and Nampoon. Sunda's now married and has her own family, so she's not living at home now. And then Nampoon just finished academy, and so she's been away from home for about 5 years, and that's why I forget.
Yeah.
But yeah, they came around the same time.
Wow. So suddenly you had 6 girls.
Suddenly I had 6 girls, ranging from 6 days old to 16.
Wow, that's quite a spread.
Yeah.
Thankfully, you had already experienced most of the teenage years.
Yeah.
Once before,
Yeah.
from a boy perspective.
I really thought I was pretty well prepared. I thought I was a pretty good mom. I found out I didn't know anything.
Every child is different, though.
Every child is different, and girls are far different than boys.
Yeah. And the learning needs and the
Yeah.
emotional needs and some of the traumatic experiences that a lot of young people have had over there.
They bring across a very sunny disposition when you meet them, but deep down inside they're very damaged little girls. So it takes a lot of work, a lot of love.
A lot of love. But they smile and they love back, too.
They do.
I like being there and meeting the girls finally. It was many years, actually, before I got to meet them. But I enjoyed it very much. They're so sweet.
They are.
The love is paying off.
Yeah.
Okay, so you were in Sonclabury during all of this time.
Yeah.
And then what happened next? Because you aren't there anymore, and I know you've been, so we're going to keep on with the story.
Yeah. Well, there was a lot of problems that developed there. One of them, a major one, that the mission was really concerned about was the child traffickers. We were kind of rescuing kids that would have been probably taken by them, and they didn't like that, and so it was kind of a dangerous area for us. The other problem was that our neighbors had put in loudspeakers right behind us, and in Asia it's a very polite thing to do to share your music with your neighbors. But
at very high volume.
At very high volume. But unfortunately we didn't approve of their choice of music.
It wasn't peaceful and pleasant for country living.
We were trying to run a school there, and having this loud rock music blasting at us continuously it just wasn't a good idea. So because of those two things, we decided to look for a new location. And we went a couple of other places and kind of checked them out, but nothing was really where God wanted us. And so we were talking about it as a family, and we decided that we needed to move someplace that was dark, where there's no Christians, where there's no other missionaries, where there's no churches. So that, because, there's thousands of villages that need help, and we didn't want to be someplace where there's other people already working. So the only problem was that I have a bad back, and so we couldn't be on bad roads. So Jason looked at Google Earth, which is a great way to find your new location.
It's a handy tool.
Yeah, he found a river that we could navigate with a boat. And so it's kind of a long story, but they went to the nearest town to that area, and they just kind of talked to them and asked if it would be possible for us to find property there to start a school. And we got nothing but yeses. It was amazing. We didn't expect that. But, the umper said yes, the headman of the village said yes. Everybody was like, just go choose what you want. You can do whatever you want. And just let us know where you decide to settle. So we did, and we were very careful. We got permission from every headman of every village around, and the umper, and we were very careful, made sure that it was really true that we could have whatever we wanted and how much land we wanted. So we went down the river, and we found the perfect spot. It had streams coming down the mountains, and it was in the jungle. There were no loudspeakers. That was very important to us. And so we got permission, and we started building our school there. And we had to chop out the jungle. It was a lot of work. There was these huge vines all over the place. And we cleared and cleared. It took us a year to get the school ready and build the buildings and get the jungle cleared enough to where we could have students there. And then the students started coming. We started out with a hot season school, which is like summer vacation for them. But everybody wants to learn English. And so we just thought, well, if we invite the students to come during summer break, then we can get to know who the good students are and who the bad students are, who are really interested in spiritual things. And then we can handpick our students. And so that's kind of what we did. We didn't handpick them all that way, but a lot of them we did. And so we started out our school year with, I think it was around 20 students. I don't remember now. But that was our ideal maximum. We didn't want more than that because we wanted really one-on-one time with the students so that they could learn.
Okay, so what kind of school? What were you teaching? You said English. They want to learn English.
Yeah, all the students wanted to learn English. They wanted to learn medical, and they wanted to learn about the Bible. So it's kind of like an English Bible training school. So that's what we did. We had a work-study program. We wanted to follow Ellen White's counsel for the Madison School, basically. And so we had half study, half work. Well, a lot of these students didn't know how to work. Wow. Here we are.
Where were they from?
Well, a lot of them were from refugee camps, and a lot of them are from Burma. And the ones from Burma knew how to work, but the ones from the refugee camps, they had never learned.
There's no place in the refugee camp for them to work.
No, there's no place for them to work.
It's just full of house after house.
Yeah.
Hut after hut.
Bamboo huts.
You call house, you say house in our culture, and it means something different, vastly different from the reality for them. So hut after hut.
Yeah.
Miles and miles. You drive past some of these places on the road, and you just miles and miles of hut after hut after hut. It's like all the roofs they're like stacked on top of each other almost.
Yeah, I can't imagine living that close together. It's so hard. Anyway, they didn't know how to build houses. They didn't know how to make the leaf panels for the roofs. They didn't know how to do anything. And so when they came, we had the work and the study. And half of the students left because of the work program, which
So
was
they didn't
fine.
want to learn to work.
Yeah, they didn't want to learn to work. And so we ended up with only 9 students. But they were so excited. They told us they came for the English. They stayed because of the Bible. They started out with, we had like Jason was teaching Bible, and he taught a 1-hour class. Well, pretty soon it became an hour and a half, and then it was 2 hours, and then it was 3 hours every day, and they couldn't
They were
get
just
enough.
eating it up.
Yeah, plus morning and evening worships. It was like they just couldn't get enough.
Wow.
And so it was beautiful. It was so exciting to see, because they were just so hungry and so thirsty to know the truth. You know, and they'd ask us difficult questions, you know, or like one Sabbath they asked us, what happens to you when you die? And we kind of talked about it, and we're like, you know, I'm afraid that this is going to offend them, but let's just do a Bible study. So instead of preparing a Bible study, we just got out our Strong's Concordance and looked up every verse in the Bible about it. And when we finished reading all those verses and then just summarizing, the students, their reaction was, oh, so that's how it is. It was like,
Okay.
that's what the Bible says. That's the way it is. It's so beautiful to see it. I wish you could experience it, because it was so neat.
Wow.
But
So how did you build the buildings there, the house and the buildings on the property?
well, it's a little different than what we would build here. We go out into the jungle, and we find a nice looking bamboo clump, and we start chopping with our machetes, cut down the bamboo, strip off all the leaves, and haul it on back to the house site. When you get enough of that, then you also have to find logs that are down in the jungle. It has to be either teak or ironwood.
And they have to have fallen
Yeah, they
already.
have to have already fallen down. You can't cut anything, because that would be illegal. But then you haul those back. Those are really heavy wood.
Especially if they're big.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
And then you have to make them into smaller posts or something?
no, you don't cut
You put
those
them
things,
that way.
because they are the way they
They're
are.
not
so they're
cuttable.
all, yeah.
Okay,
Anyway,
so your house posts are whatever
Yeah.
size the tree was.
You start out with just 4 posts in the ground, or 6 or 8, or however big you want the building, and then you just start tying bamboo on with. We use bamboo to make ties to tie it all together, and sometimes we use wire and nails, but usually it's bamboo ties. And so,
Because you're in the middle of the jungle.
Yeah.
It's not like you're just going to run down to a hardware store and buy nails.
no, we don't do that. We get everything we needed from the jungle. It's a lot cheaper, but it's also it doesn't last very long. Like if you build a house, if you cut the bamboo at the exact right time, so there's no bugs in it, then it'll last a long time. But if there is any bugs in it, then they chew your bamboo up while it's in the house, and then it gets like sawdust all over the place.
And it's really unnerving when you sit or lay next to the wall and you hear the...
Yeah, you can hear the bugs chewing. But it's a lot of work, but you can put up a house in maybe a week or 2.
What about bathrooms? What did you do for bathrooms?
Well, we dug outhouses, which it's not, there's not a lot of rock in the dirt, so you can dig a pretty good outhouse pretty fast. And then we just used tin, because I didn't want to use bamboo, because you can see through it. So we used tin and just made a little square outhouse with, that's a really
very
fancy
basic,
one.
but
They
yeah.
have squat toilets. It's not like nice things like we have here, but it
It's
works.
not flushing. You
No.
use a dipper and...
Yeah, you use a dipper and a water tank to flush the toilet.
You have the big school building where the boys are living. You have the girls' dorm. You have the house. And you're living there for how long?
We were down there for 2 years.
Okay.
And
And then something happened to this school building.
yeah. It was a Friday, and we only allowed 1 home weekend per month, and it was not a home weekend. It was a weekend where everybody was supposed to be there. But that morning, one student after another came to us with really good reasons why they needed to go places. One was going to go get some yellow beans for the school because we were really low on food. We said, okay, that's fine. One of them needed to go get seeds for the gardens. I mean, they were really good reasons. Every single one of them, we just said, you know what? This is a real need. They're not just trying to get away or anything. And so one by one, the students left until there was only 4 students left. And since it was Friday, we were in the kitchen building making bread for Sabbath. We always did a special meal for Sabbath. And it was like a baking class we had every Friday. And so normally on a Friday afternoon, the students would have been in the big building in the classrooms cleaning and getting ready for Sabbath. But that day there was nobody there. And the wind came up. You could see the rain was coming. And all of a sudden we heard this big snap, snap, snap. And then we ran to the front of the kitchen to look out to see what was coming down, and there came a 90-foot mango tree right dead center over our new building and smashed it completely to the ground. Wow. With the branches and everything, the entire building came down. There was nothing left.
Wow.
And we just sat there with our mouths open going, God is good. If those students hadn't gone home that day, people would have been killed. But nobody was injured. We went right out and started cleaning up, and within 2 weeks, we had a brand new classroom.
Wow.
The students were just they worked hard, but they got it up. And it was good for them because they learned how to build even better.
So the first time you built that building, do you have any idea what it cost you to build the building?
I believe it was around $400.
I think that's what you told me at the time.
Yeah, I believe it was around $400. The second building cost us a grand total of $10.
Wow.
Yeah.
Because you could reuse the materials, or you could get everything from the jungle?
We could reuse some of it, but the difference was that we knew how to make things by then. So we knew how to make our own leaf panels, and we knew how to do our own things. So all we had to buy was some more nails.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So God blessed, even though there was destruction and it seemed like loss of property at the beginning, there was no loss of life.
There was no loss of life, and we made the second building much better and bigger.
And cheaper.
And cheaper. And there were no more mango trees to fall on the building. So after that, we called it Mango Hall, just to remind us of how good God is to take care of us so well.
Wow. Well, I think at this time we have a little video. Do you want to tell us about it?
This video John took when he came to visit us, and it's, no words or anything, but it just kind of shows a little snapshot of what our school was like.
Okay, we'll play that at this time.
Okay.
Oh, that was a beautiful place. That video, I'm sure, just barely captures a little bit of what it was like there.
Yeah, it just shows a little bit.
Well, I know that not long after that whole incident with the mango tree, you were forced to leave this beautiful place. And I know that we don't have time for that story in this show. So I want you to join us next week for the rest of the story of Lisa and her family and where God has led them from there. If you have been impressed to give to support this ministry, you can send your tax-deductible love gift to Jesus for Asia, P.O. Box 1221, Collegedale, Tennessee 37315. Call us at 423-413-7321 or visit our website at jesusforasia.org. May God richly bless you until we see you again next week on Jesus for Asia Now.